All right. Welcome to our meeting, folks. We have already said the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry, we was a little quicker than our camera tonight. This is the part of the meeting we're going to open up. If anybody has anything to say or any questions or comments, they can say it now. We can't act on it, but we can take it under advisement and talk about it next time. Okay. So, first item up on the agenda is...
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda so we can add Kevin Hall.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Yeah. I'll make that unanimous. Kevin, you want to come up? I didn't realize you wasn't on with you.
Yeah, on there now. So we got, I'll do a little update here. So we got 2 crews going right now. We have one on the grain bin area right now, installing culverts, doing a lot of deep patches, a lot of culvert installation, mainly on the 20 miles of chip seal roads that we're going to do through CCMG. So they're just trying to get all the prep work done for that. And then rain kind of let off, so we're starting to, we had another water leak there at the shop. So redoing some water lines and getting our gas lines running with one crew and kind of get back on that while the rain gets out of here. So that's what's going on at the highway.
Is the rain going to get out here?
I don't know.
Okay. I just curious.
Besides that, all I have is the 2025-1 CCNG contracts. So I will start with the chip seal, and the low bid on the chip seal was Pavement Solutions at $521,145.50, and everything looked correct on their paperwork, so that's who I would suggest.
Man.
Okay.
Have we used them before, Kevin?
We have not used them before.
Who did we?
Evergreen. done it last
Evergreen
year.
was the one we did last year.
It's from Illinois or something.
They're from Illinois, and Pavement Solutions is from, they're northern Indiana, but they work from top of Michigan all the way down to the bottom of Indiana.
Well, I mean, I'd like to make a motion to award our chip seal contract to Pavement Solutions for $521,145.50.
I'll second that.
That is the low bid.
Yep.
All right, so we have I'm sorry. All right, we have a first, second, and I'll make it unanimous.
All right, second thing is our 2025-1 small structures CCMG. Temple come in with the lowest bid at $1,225,083. That's who we're going to recommend through the Devices Act there. It's the lowest responsible bid.
Responsible and responsive. So just to clarify, the statute that applies in this specific case is Indiana Code 4-13.6-4-2.5, subsection D1, 2, 1 and 2, which involves contracts awarded to contractors for work on public works projects. And it sets a threshold of $300,000, but the board needs to understand that the contract in this specific case was maybe bid out individually, but whether that's done or not, you cannot divide up a public works project in order to reduce or escape from any of the threshold requirements that are in the public works statute or in a public purchasing statute that is specifically prohibited. I talked to Kevin, and I understand maybe where some people are coming from. I can understand maybe their confusion. This is a state law. It's available to everyone. Everyone is on notice of what the law is. And despite the fact that you may be considering each of these projects as bid individually, the overall contract awarded and requested, the grant that was requested was certainly well in excess of $300,000. So in order to be a responsible and responsive bidder, the statute requires that the bidders be NDOT pre-qualified. So that is my take on it, and I believe that that is borne out in statute and case law on public works projects and trying to divide them up into individual component parts to escape certain threshold requirements. And again, it's the state law. It is what it's. Everyone is on notice whether they like it or not, because the law applies across the board. And if you can't say I'm ignorant of the law and use that as a basis to say I didn't know about it. If you could drive 70 miles an hour in a 55 and you'd be fine. But that's not how this works.
Well said. Not if you see it. Let's see. Well, guys, I'd make a motion to award our small structure bid to Temple and Temple. They were the low pre-qualified bid at $1,225,083. So that's what our low bid is from a pre-qualified bid. So that's what I would recommend to the board.
I'll second.
And I'll make that unanimous.
And just so everybody understands, in my discussions with Kevin, I think Kevin did the right thing in terms of how he went to the state to request the CCMG grant. He could have gone to them and submitted a grant request for each individual project, but you run the risk of the state looking at multiple projects in a specific region and saying, we're only going to give you a couple. So I don't want anybody to think that Kevin did anything that was not in the best interest of the county. He did what is in the best interest of the county. But because he did it the way he did it, because we cannot divide up the contracts, that this is how it works.
Yeah, you did good. Okay.
Yes, you did.
Can we vote on that? Is it good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Will you contact those guys?
I will. That's
Yeah.
what my next thing. I'll contact Temple. I'll talk to them and kind of get I know Adam had concerns on Kinderhook. There's a lot of people that has concerns on Kinderhook. We'll try to get a schedule put out and see exactly what the reality of that is, how far out the material is going to be, how far out Temple's going to be. Material is probably going to be the waiting part as per usual. So, but I'll get a good.
And that's what I was waiting on to tell everyone, like, hey, we need to do all this assessment, stuff like that, to see what we can get in and when we can do it. So, but when we have an idea, I'll get it.
I'll
Just let me know.
we'll hopefully here within the next week and a half, we ought to be able to nail down a pretty close estimate on maybe when materials are going to get in and when the contractor will be there.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin, is they getting rock out there?
Yeah, they hauled, 3 loads.
3 loads?
Yeah, I see.
One for Kevin and then 2 for the grant?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you, sir. All right, next item up on the agenda is Roland Lima Southern Indiana Transit Systems Grant.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hello, sir.
Hey, Ron. Sure.
Anywhere you want to. Sure. I have some stuff to hand out. I usually like to give you at least a little update. This is 2024. What we did, and your county's in there, and mentioned, and basically it just shows you the whole system and where we're at. And, so we're moving, every year, NDOT wants us to now come face to face to all the counties that we serve in regards to providing the information that we need to do, push the 2026 grant. And, this is, now, last time we came, it was something for you guys to sign, which is basically saying that we know you're here, that you know the contract's going through to give us the money from the FTA, which is a federal and a state grant, basically, which, what the mayor of Scottsburg provides as the local match, which is done. It basically states that, yes, we know that, but they have this new thing called, and it happened last year, it's an authorization resolution, but this time we went ahead with the Harrison County Commissioners, and they didn't want to do this thing called the pass-through. So the pass-through basically is stating that the Harrison County folks are the ones who gets audited in regards to everything they do for the grant. And the president, Nelson Steeper, said, yeah, that's nice, but that, NDOT gave him an option to say, do you want to do this, or do you want just Blue River to do it? And Nelson said, we don't want to do this anymore, because it makes them come to our system 3 times a year, and they have to audit everything. And they said, if we can get a way out of that in Blue River, that's your responsibility. It's just like we're doing double duty here, and I don't want to do it. So he opted out to do that. So they said, that's fine, no problem. Blue River, you're going to do it, but we still have to go to the counties and give you an update and say, so here's authorizing resolution that I sent to Ms. Jennifer. And basically it is something that the county commissioners don't have to sign, but they said for the rest of the counties, it's just a reporting officer. So Washington County, Crawford, Harrison County. Harrison County gets the one with the president because they're the founding county that does the actual grant. But all the counties that are involved still have to sign an authorizing resolution, but they only do the reporting officer. But out of respect and just the due diligence of what we do, this is the document that they're asking for the counties to sign. Every other county's got the exact same thing, and basically it just states what the last one did, which is stating that you're part of the system, and that in order to get the matching funds from the federal FTA and from the state, the PMTF, Public Mass Transit funding, that you have to recognize that, yeah, you're still doing the same thing. So this is really just nothing new. We're not asking for any more money, or hopefully none less. Excuse me. But so the grant gets signed on next week, and I go in front of the Harrison County Commissioners with the actual thing what they sign. But the other counties are just signing with the recording officer. But it makes no sense to just to throw that in front of Miss Jennifer when the county commissioners should be involved. So we wanted you to be totally involved, and it's just the same thing that we did last year, except it doesn't have the need for your commissioners to sign. It's just they just want acknowledgement that, yes, you're in a system, and they don't want to just rubber stamp it. So in the past, we didn't do any of this stuff. They just went to Harrison County Commissioners and said, just sign right here, and you represent everybody. And I'd come to the mayor and say, here's what we're doing, here's the numbers, do you have any questions or concerns? And so the FTA said, that's nice, but we want you guys to go to every county and do this, so that everyone's involved and everyone knows what's going on, and you're getting this funding, and that you recognize and you understand it, And if, you know, any questions or concerns, it's the time to ask or whatever, and so that's what I'm doing. So this is kind of still new, I mean, we did it last year, but they said, since you're not a pass-through anymore, just have a recording officer do it. And I talked to the program manager, and they said, well, we don't need to do all that stuff anymore. So, but we still have to do this portion, so it just basically keeps you in the loop, and it just goes through the process. And that's the new process that we've been told to do, and this is why we don't have anything for the actual commissioners to sign. It's just what NDOT says. You don't need to do all that stuff. We just need to make sure that the county commissioners
Know about it.
know about it, and this is what's going on. So,
All right.
that's all I got.
So Roland, is the services still the same?
Yes,
Anything
the
changed?
service is still the same. We're still looking for drivers. We're kind of short on drivers right now. We have 9 drivers, some full-time, some part-time, and it's a little, I'm gonna tell you, it's a struggle to keep drivers because we pay only $13.50 an hour. But I am always interviewing, and I am building up. We were only at 5 drivers, and now we're about up to 9, and we're gonna probably have 12 hopefully by the end of the month. So I am interviewing, and we are getting folks. And we try, you know, the focus is the counties that are in the system.
So what is the criteria to be hired? And I ask because
Sure,
you're on
absolutely.
camera. So
Absolutely.
You
So the
got a plug
criteria
here,
is
but-
basically, we do a background check. We make sure everybody doesn't have a criminal record, doesn't have drug, and things. We do a pre-employment drug check. We make sure that they're all, you know, up par with everything of that nature, because we drive the most sensitive folks in the counties. The most, some of them are very elderly, some of them are disabled. We are ADA compliant, meaning we have all of our vehicles able to do wheelchairs, walkers, and whatnot. And we do not subsidize nursing homes. So that's one of the questions I got from someplace else. And, you know, we don't ask people whether you're in a nursing home or not. You know, Bumblebee wants us to pick you up. We don't care if they're from Bumblebee or not. We don't care if somebody lives in their own private residence or whether they're from a nursing home. Most of those folks need our services in regards to wheelchairs and whatnot. So that's what we do. And that is the nature of public transportation from a rural standpoint. The folks who don't have family anymore, they don't have anybody who wants to take them, or they can't because they don't have the facilities to do so. So we go to Walmart, we go to medical services, we take people from Scottsburg all the way to State Road down in Floyd. We do all that stuff. And, you know, for $2, $4 each way, and an Uber's $30 one way,
yeah.
it's really crazy. I mean, the subsidy is so great, it's beneficial. I mean, it's, you know, the folks that are in this county and all the other counties that we serve know that. I mean, they understand the cost savings, and it's our taxpayers' money anyway. And it's what the FTA is just giving back to us to use for transportation, for public transportation. So that's the criteria, is to make sure the drivers that we do hire are consistent, kind, and capable. They have to do DOT physicals every year to 2 years. Some of them only give them 6 months because some of our drivers are elderly as well, but they can do the job and they're safe. So, you know, our accident rate is very, very low. I mean, I just had an accident Monday, but that was because a teenager ran a stop sign through an intersection in Salem, and they hit our driver. And our driver's not at fault, and the police officer already stated that. So things do happen when you play the averages of being on the road nonstop for year in, year out. Things can happen, but that's the first accident we've had in 5 years.
So does your driver got to have a for hire license, or?
Yes, they have to have a for-hire license,
Yeah.
and they get tested, and they go through all that stuff. And we do have some drivers from Louisville, and we have drivers from every county. So we have folks that we actually hire here too. We were looking always for folks who can drive, and these are folks who are already retired most of the time, and then they really retire. So that's kind of, I get them for about 2 or 3 years, and then, you know, I don't want to drive anymore, because it's a full day. A full day of driving is, you know, going to people's homes, going places, unloading them, and making sure they're safe. And we do on-the-spot checking. You know, I'll show up out of the blue and say, hey, how you doing? And we do through a little NDOT thing. I do that too. All our vehicles are maintained. You can look at our fleet and not one tires. Not one vehicle needs a new tire. I mean, all our engines are okay. We do oil. We have an oil NDOT testing program where they make sure we're doing all of our due diligence on our vehicles for maintenance. And we get new vehicles too. So part of this is you know, every vehicle that we get, we shuffle around with the counties that we serve. So, you know, Scott County will get a new vehicle, not every year, but probably every second year. So you can look at our fleet, and the pictures that I sent on that presentation, there's on the second page here, that's just sampling from what we have for our vehicles, and, you know, basically, you know, it just shows that what they do and what they look like, and, you know, that's what the current fleet looks like. We have low-floor minivans. We use both of them, Scott County. We use low-floor minivans, and they're Pacific Chrysler, and they have the ramps, and then we have the lifts as well.
Very nice.
So we audit all of our wheelchairs too. They go Superior well, Superior actually comes out to our location, and they make sure that everything is compliant. So it's a process, and we're going to get audited by NDOT next year. They audit us every 2.5 years, and we go through that whole process. So it's an ongoing thing, and it does take a lot of work, and it does take a lot of diligence, of attention to detail, but that's what we do to make sure that everybody that rides our system is safe. And we have no accidents with people falling in our vehicle or tripping or any of that stuff, because our folks are kind, and they want to hire, make sure they're asking very simple questions, but they're very direct questions. You know, are you kind? Are you capable? And they have to go through a DOT physical. They can't have defibrillator, rheumatoid arthritis, or insulin dependent, because those are things that knock people out. You know, they can't be any of those things. And you know, everyone we hire passes those criteria, so that's very important for us. So we want to make sure that, you know, anyone we put behind the wheel is responsible and capable, and can do the job and be consistent.
Yep.
So that's our criteria there.
Yeah, you guys do a great job, Roland. We're
Yeah.
blessed to have your service.
Very, very important service. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You need,
We just need the authorizing resolution signed.
I think that the way it looks like it works is if you just vote to approve Jennifer, or give Jennifer the authority to sign on behalf of the
I
county.
make a motion for Jennifer to sign and give her the authority for this resolution.
I'll second.
I'll make that unanimous.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it, thank you. I also visit with the mayor as well, and pretty much tell him the same information, and he always asks questions too, so, as is the right to do so. And usually, you know, if you have anyone who needs our services and you want to contact us, just let us know. We'll come up. I think that other piece of paper too.
Oh, it's on, is it on the back?
No, there's another one.
Something different.
Randy had it.
Even though it's not signed, it needs to be part of it.
Oh, I thought they was the same.
Oh, you know what? I did print out the same, didn't I? You can keep that. I apologize.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
all right.
for your records. Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
Thank you. Yeah, that's all I had.
all right. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Have a good rest of your evening.
All right, thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is Megan Stockdale, Genesis House.
Thank you all so much for having me tonight.
Thank you.
So my name is Megan Stockdale, and I'm the Executive Director of the Genesis House. The Genesis House is a recovery home in Harrison County, Indiana. We take women from incarcerated situations, homelessness, domestic violence, and treatment centers under the impression that they have a substance abuse issue and or mental health issue, and that they're willing to do something different with their life. They come in and they live in our facility on average for a year. At that time, we work with them on a therapeutic-based program. All of our staff is state certified. We provide substance abuse counseling, one-on-one sessions, groups, peer coaching, case management, whole 9 yards. They do that in addition to the 12 steps. Upon completion, we put them in a transition phase, and we help them with housing and with independence, so that way they can actually move out on their own and continue their journey. Currently, we are serving a lot of Scott County residents, which is what brings me here. I am requesting funds from the opioid settlement fund money under the abatement uses for our housing program. We have a problem, and it's a big problem. And the problem is we opened our doors in 2020 with 15 beds, and within 6 weeks we were full and on a wait list. We remained that way. In 21, we started working on a second home, and in July of 22, we opened and doubled our bed capacity to 30. That time, within 3 months, we went back on a wait list. We remain on a wait list. So we are currently in the middle of a capital campaign and expanding our bed capacity. I have some numbers here. I'm not sure if they got shared with you guys prior to, but since opening our doors, we've served 189 women, and 22 of those have been Scott County residents on Scott County probation, parole, or house arrest. That's 8.6% of our total population. We have graduated, at the time I wrote this, it was 64, it's now 66 women. And out of those 66, 12.5% were from Scott County. I have some success stories of Scott County graduates that have completed our program and gone on to just be incredible human beings. Our goal is to get to the root of why they use drugs in the first place and create a life where it's easier for them not to use. We do that through the therapy techniques, through the life skill classes. We literally love them back to life. They live there, we're a home, we're a family, we work together to get to a solution. We have a great partnership with Scott County. We work really well with their court system, with their community corrections office especially. They've found that it's beneficial to send women out of the county to get better, to get them away from old people, places, and things. So they come down and stay with me for a while. That being said, I don't want to waste your all's time, but if you have any questions about our program, I'm more than happy to answer those. But what we're asking for is for Scott County to help us with this capital campaign. So the overall project is $885,611, which is a huge number, right? We have already gotten that down, and we are in the final push right now. We are currently $128,000 away from our final goal, and we have a lot of things in the moves to hopefully start construction on that this summer. This expansion will allow us to expand our beds from 30 to 46. It's going to have some specialized programming that's involved with that. One thing that we started doing in 23 is we became a mommy and me house. We brought in pregnant women and helped them through their pregnancy to deliver a baby that was free of substances. That baby is allowed to live in our home. We currently only have one bed where a baby can live full time, and then we have 2 beds where children can visit certain days of the week with permissions. With the expansion, we are going to add 6 new beds. 3 of those are going to cover pregnant moms and moms with infants and young children under the age of 2 to live there full time with their children. And then 10 of our beds are going to become what's called a 3/4 bed. So once our women graduate, they're not really great candidates for housing. Nobody wants to rent to them. Their history is terrible on paper. And so they take a little bit longer to find income-based housing that they qualify for. That being said, they live with me a smidge longer. And in order to free up beds to bring new people out of the system, we are incorporating 10 3/4 beds, which will allow them to transition a little bit longer. Studies show that if you can keep them in a safe environment for over 18 months, their chance of relapse drops all the way down to 15%. So if we can keep them that extra 6 months in that final stage, it'll improve their overall success rate. So my pitch to you all tonight is that the total project is, again, $885,000. I'm asking Scott County's opioid relief fund for 8.6% of that total project, which is $76,162. That 8.6%, again, is the number of Scott County residents that we have served since opening in 2020. We anticipate that that trend is actually going to go up because our current population of Scott County is higher than 8%. I think we're at like 11.9% is Scott County residents or Scott County referrals currently in our home. So,
Megan, what was the number again? 76,001.
162.
162, yes.
Thank you.
So Megan, do you receive any state funding now, or federal funding, or any of that?
So our funding is kind of interesting because not everybody qualifies for it. So we are a DMHA certified house, which means that we meet certain guidelines through the Department of Mental Health America, and we're registered as a level 3 home within the state of Indiana, stating that we provide a certain level of care. Because we're a level 3 home, we're able to bill a program called Recovery Works, which is through the FSSA, the Family Social Services Administration, and you can bill a portion of someone's stay to be offset by those funds. However, not everybody qualifies for that funding. About 41% of my residents get that funding, and the remaining 59 do not. That funding is granted for different reasons. If you're over the age of 18, if you have an open case, if your case falls under a certain category, if your referral source is willing to put in a referral and you answer the questions correctly. If you have an open DCS case, you don't qualify. We serve a lot of mothers. So recently, within the last month, actually, we just became a vendor with DCS, with the Department of Child Services, which will allow us to bill out of a different state fund for those DCS cases if the client qualifies for that funding. We have yet to bill for that yet, and we're still in the onboarding phase, so I don't know how much money that's going to produce. So that being said, most of our money comes from fundraising and grants. We fully support ourselves through community projects. We just hosted a fundraiser last month and raised $14,000. We hosted one in November and raised $44,000. I write a lot of grants. I have per diems with other counties. So like Floyd County's opioid fund pays for their percentage of their people that I serve as well. Harrison County pays for their percentage that I serve. And that's of our operating budget, and we ask for that funding every year.
What I would say is, I asked around, looked into, and y'all do exceptional work. Community Corrections said nothing ill about y'all, actually praised y'all, and y'all hung the moon. And so from Community Corrections, I know their integrity, and I want to thank you for all your work that you're doing.
Thank you
So.
very much.
I want to say, I think you put on a very good presentation. I'm not familiar with you guys. For me, it would be hard to commit at this point in time because we are trying. One thing is, I'm not sure where we're even at with our funding or how much money we have, but we have a church project that we voted on last year. What did you ever find out what that was?
It was not voted on. It's not been approved. It was reviewed by me to determine whether it would be eligible to receive, and based on my concern was whether or not we could use funds for a brick and mortar construction, because some grant programs don't allow you to do that. But there was some kind of training or advisement that came out from the state that type of project was okayed. But we've never formally approved. We've investigated.
I thought we voted on that afterwards.
I don't believe so.
I couldn't find it either.
No. We've
The commitment that was kind of laid down was a place for the jail, and I think is it called IRAX or something like that?
Yes. Yeah.
To have a facility for treatment, counseling.
I think probably the place to start is how much money is in the opioid abatement fund as we sit here today.
We're at 439 after the council approved cease last night.
Okay, and I saw that on the agenda, and I just, from my recollection, we had approved the cease project.
Yeah, a couple
Right.
months ago.
We
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Okay, so that council has voted on that,
We
and they've
voted on
already,
that last night, so it's done.
so there's, you said how much remaining?
About 439.
Okay. And then the way the opioid funds work is we receive like tranches over time of disbursements from the state, and there's probably should have this pulled up, but it will take me a second to locate it. I mean, I will say I've reviewed the request. I believe that it qualifies under the guidelines that were created for the use of these funds. I did prepare a resolution to that effect. I attached some of the documentation that I think you sent in that you talked about as a part of it. Basically, that is the qualifying uses, so to speak. So that is here.
So if we approve it as the way it is, it'd be around 362 left.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's going to take me a second to figure out what our expected disbursement is this year.
What else was it we used some of that money for recently?
I'm not thinking of anything.
Just
We-
cease, I believe, so.
And the new roof on the church a while back, or a
That
year or
was-
2 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago, it was in the fall, election time.
That's been taken care of.
And I think the reason was is that church is the site that IRAX was looking at.
Yeah.
Well, they used to have this all broken down by county.
Anyway, for me, my heart's into us fixing up the church first. So, I'm not saying necessarily no, but I think we probably need to do this in stages to where we know how much money we have left.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I am right now. I mean, we are kind of already laid out with a commitment to go down that path.
Well, it wouldn't be a commitment, it would be a process or a plan right now, right? Because there was no
It's
voting.
our, but it's our commitment to see that project through. And so that's one of the processes too. Is
We
getting
also talked to the
estimates.
sheriff and kind of committed to him that we would provide this building and fix it up to do that. Which, in return, he had the building full of all kinds of storage, and he has since emptied out that building. So,
Have we received any of the abatement share for this year? I don't think we would have yet.
Not
So,
yet.
I mean, this is a document from 2022 that I had from back when they broke it down by county. Looks like our estimated payment at that time for 2025 for the abatement share was $98,863.02. So, and I believe that is only based off one of the settlement packages because there's been like separate agreements that have been entered into. So just for everybody's information, I believe that the county is set to receive at least $100,000 or around that in 2025 to add to whatever you have currently in the fund.
okay.
There you go.
So when would we receive that, and when would we want Ms. Stockdale to follow up with us?
Abatement share distributions occur.
And when does your capital engagement end?
When I get the money. I am currently in a match under Metro United Way. I have until November 6th to get the rest of my money, and if I don't, then that goes away, and then I'm back to having to hustle for some more. I can't say when it'll be over. I'm hopefully,
Yeah.
soon. I've put in requests to different places. I'm hitting the pavement. I've written grants. I just know in my heart how big of a need this is, and the number of phone calls that I get of, can you please take my daughter? Can you
Yeah.
help my wife? I want to be able to continue to provide that, and if I don't have the beds or the space to do it, I have to turn them away.
Yeah.
I have a pregnant girl right now sitting in the jail. She's 23 weeks pregnant. Just please, can I come there before I have my baby? I'm so scared that if I'm not somewhere safe, what this is going to look like for our future. I don't have a mommy bed open right now. I have a baby in my home right now. So until I do an expansion, I can't take another pregnant mom. I don't have anywhere to put them. And that's per state guidelines, because we meet all state codes. So in order to have the right amount of square feet per person, the right amount of space, I have to have certain things in play before I can add another infant into the home. So it's just hard. I'm obviously in a rush to get the money, because the faster I get it, the faster I can continue to serve people.
And serve Scott County citizens.
And I mean, I am. I've been serving Scott
Yeah.
County since the day we opened our doors. You all don't have a home like this for women. You don't have somewhere for them to come out of jail and go safely to, which is why they refer them to me so frequently.
Yeah, and I'll say this, one of the programs that we had gave money to, and I don't remember what it was called, but they had a few facilities over to the east. One of them was in Madison. something a little bit similar, but along the lines of juveniles, where the courts were, this was a facility that we didn't have in Scott. They were sending them to Madison, for instance. And so, they were working with the courts the whole time, and, so they came over and said, hey, can you help us out a little bit? And we were able to do that. I think we had some on the council at the time that didn't want to do that, but it's like, this is a service that our courts are using. I mean, so I agree with that. I mean, if we've got women going over there and that facility's being utilized like that, I mean, we certainly want to help with that. We've just got a couple things going, and trying to fit it all in with limited operating. So
Have we even done engineering plans or anything with the church?
we're working on that now. Yeah, we've got one estimate in. I think somebody had reached out. I think going to come in and give us another estimate this week, maybe.
Bill.
So we're getting there.
But I mean, the answer certainly is no to you. It's just, let us take steps, because I don't want to,
Let's find out and coordinate when the next payment's coming in.
So I think the answer is that there's not a uniform payment schedule and it's dependent on each individual settlement. My recollection from years prior is that most of the settlement payments, not the settlement payments, the distributions to the local municipalities occur like around August to September-ish. That's just from my recollection of when those happen.
I'm kind of thinking September, October possibly.
I cannot find a specific planned distribution date.
so perhaps could you call back around September and see where we're at?
I will hopefully have this project closed by then. Obviously, I wanted Scott County to participate. I need to get the ball rolling faster rather than later, because we have the building and it's just sitting there.
Leave us your contact information. That way we can get a hold of you once we.
But if I don't have my money, yes, I'll definitely reach back out to you guys to continue to help. I can leave my cards, yes, and then if you guys have any questions at all, any follow-up things, I'm happy to answer those as well. Thank you for your time today. I do appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you.
And realize I don't have a vote on this at all, but from my perspective, I have clients that participate at the Genesis House, so, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Adam.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Miss Diane Kosar.
I have to have bids for my sick leave reassessment this year. So I'm planning on putting a notice in the paper to ask for bids. Do you guys want to see this?
Sure.
Basically what happened 4 years ago, it was just, change the dates. And the name of the participants.
You got one more? Oh, no,
I
it's
was
good. I'll
looking
get
at,
it from that.
sorry.
No, you're good.
Do you want this one?
Thank you.
It's just basically saying what, and then they'll stop at my office if they want this X on what has to be done. And then I send them back to you at your office.
That's what we've always done, just
Okay.
kind of put them in there, we date stamp them, and then they'll be ready for the meeting, so.
And then I have on here that they'll open them, you guys will open them on the June 4th meeting?
I think that was the right meeting, yes.
That,
It says June 4th.
so is that the next meeting? Or
That-
not, that
It'll
would
probably be
be,
the first
That
one
would
we
be
get
the fall of
advertised.
the meeting.
because I have to advertise this for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna put it in the paper on this Friday.
Friday, it'll go out Wednesday, yes. Yeah, June 4th will be the one.
Okay.
Yes. I think we talked about that the other day, but I've already forgotten.
Did you see that? Yeah. Okay.
Looks okay to me.
Looks good.
Yeah. And you already do this, right? I mean,
Yes, in fact, the last time I did this, I didn't send anything, I didn't even present it to the commissioners until I handed them the contract and said, sign it. You know, so, the current provider that we have basically does lots of this for me and everybody else, so, and he does the specs and all that stuff, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be the same provider, you know,
Gotcha.
yeah.
They probably work for a lot of other.
Yeah, they
things,
do.
too.
Yeah, they do.
Sounds good to me.
There's another 24 counties in Indiana, plus Ohio and different places.
This is limited type of work for sure, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
So- Okay, so I will get this in the paper this weekend.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Diane.
it.
Thank
And
you
I'll
very
see you
much.
on June the 4th.
All right.
care.
Thanks.
Cease was not able to be here tonight due to conflict in scheduling, but from what I understand, what I was told, the final approval for the CCP is just for
Yeah.
them to administer and give out the grant money. It's just all our approvals needed. And so I would make a motion to approve it.
Yeah, I'll say.
I'll make that unanimous.
But we've already signed the resolution,
Yeah.
right? So we're
The
good.
resolution was signed, I was just
Okay.
saying, I don't think I've received.
Well, they said
any
they
paperwork from
thought they
them.
just needed a final blessing or something. Let me check my text message real fast.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have approved it. Your approval was contingent on the county council voting to appropriate the funds for that use.
Yeah.
They voted to appropriate, sounds like, so at this point, I think the
It's done.
auditor is authorized to distribute the funds consistent with the resolution and council's vote. And Cease, who is already I believe under, this was kind of like an addendum or amendment to an existing grant that
Yeah.
we had provided in previous fiscal cycles, so I think we would just be re-upping our commitment, and the amount would, I think, changed a little bit.
Yeah, where they could manage and then distribute.
Yeah.
And all that. Yeah, that's what I'm understanding too. So,
All right, so next item on the agenda is EMS Training Institute settlement agreement.
Caitlin just sent me a text and said they are slammed right now, and I don't know what happened earlier, but there were a lot of sirens.
yeah,
everywhere.
there's an incident on 56 right
Okay.
now.
So there's, this, you have that.
Yeah, right there.
So I think everyone, if you haven't, can review it now. You have an opportunity to review the proposed settlement agreement.
We seen it in the email.
This is in relation to one of the actions that the board authorized, I believe, last year in an attempt to recover outstanding balances that were owed to the Training Institute. The terms are outlined. If you have any questions about the specific terms, I would just say the important ones from my perspective. Obviously, it is an agreement for a lump sum payment. The payment is less than the total amount that the balance was, but in exchange, you are getting a lump sum payment, which, if you recall some of the meetings, my concern here was that you could win, get judgments, and that it would be potentially difficult to collect on those. So, but it's also important to note that, the attorney's fees and costs associated with filing the action would come out of, essentially, the county's still responsible for that. That doesn't go on to the person that we're recovering from, okay?
You're saying
so-
we got a good deal.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, in terms of
Anything's a good deal.
the speed at which you have
Oh, yeah.
recovered this is, in my opinion, makes it a good deal.
Yep.
All right. So, I'll,
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement.
There are signature lines, I believe, that are,
I have a motion for Greg to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Adam, second. I'll make that unanimous.
3 signature lines for the commissioners. While you're doing that, I'd also just request that you authorize Nick to sign as the Scott County EMS director outside of a meeting. I think the plan was that he would be here, but obviously there's.
Yeah, make a motion for Nick to come in and sign and approve.
I'll second, oh, go ahead.
I'll second.
I'll make that unanimous. All right, next thing up on the agenda is Sheriff Joe Johnson's firearm retirement paperwork. I know the sheriff has sent all the information out. Has everybody had a chance to review that?
Yes.
He had 19 years of service. The firearms, technically, I guess, the county's is ours. So,
You want scanned and sent or a copy?
You can just give me a copy, that's fine. Sorry.
so it's our discretion whether or not we want to give Mr. Johnson his firearm for years of service spent.
I make a motion to approve Joe getting his
Firearm.
gun.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
I'll make that unanimous.
And so I think once we have the meeting minutes for the approval, we'll send it back with the description of the firearm to the sheriff's department to have them distribute that weapon. I think they indicated that they,
The memorandum
had already removed it or something.
from the property books.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we just have to send them the meeting minutes that show that we've approved.
There's no sense in us to sign this and send it back, is it? We
I
probably
don't,
need to keep that for our record.
I would keep that. I would keep that as a, I mean, I have it, but I don't think that matters whether you sign it. I think we have to send them the official document of the meeting minutes that show the approved.
That we allowed the transfer. Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't mean for you to have to do that during the meeting.
That is no problem.
I'm sorry.
We're good.
Next item on the agenda is Big Ox Road property cleanup. Greg, you got any updates?
Well, I've sent Zach an update. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Zach, or I can.
Yeah, so, this has been going on for extremely long time at this point. We did, reach out to the, or I'm sorry, maybe he reached out to me or reached out to one of you guys at some point. It's not the owner of the property, but it's a family member who I think has some kind of interest. I'm not exactly sure. That's never been explained exactly, but he indicated that he did want an opportunity to go out there and try to clean it up himself. I did explain to him that, this has been going on for a pretty long time. We had already kind of bid out the potential for some work to be performed out there at a particular cost. He indicated basically that he would take care of cleaning up what needed to be cleaned up. That was maybe 30-ish days ago at least. I reached back out to him, I want to say 2 weeks ago. Spoke with him because I don't think any work had been performed. He'd indicated that I think it was because of the rains and everything, he couldn't really get out there to do at least the initial work that he wanted to do. Did contact me and indicate that I think it was last weekend that he had started on removing some of the debris, mowing, some other things. At that point, I think we wanted to see like what the status of it was. I did get a report from, I think it was the health department.
Yeah, Tim Bruner.
That shows that, I mean, there's been work performed, but I think 2 of the structures had been knocked down in some way. There's still, I think 2 trailers that are on the property, and there is another structure that's on the property. And looks like maybe there's still some debris, not as much, but there is debris around. So, I mean, it's what I would call a start, but nowhere close to, I think, what the commissioners expected. So at this point, just kind of, I mean, I can reach back out to him and say, like, we need to see more, you know, you got to do this, this, and this. But if I think to do that, I need to have a very specific description of what we think needs to be cleaned up specifically. Okay, so again, what our order deals with is essentially decrepit or abandoned structures that are causing some kind of danger to such a degree that you have to go in and fix them so that you can abate a public nuisance and, you know, avoid any potential issues. So I think the cleanup of the property is part of it, but we also still have a couple structures out there that I think were under the initial order and there's not been any work done on them, and despite the fact that maybe 2 of them have been, has it been fully removed? I don't know if those.
No,
No.
he's knocked them down. So
Okay.
it's now-
According to Tim's report, the grass has been mowed, 2 sheds have been demolished. I don't think any of the material has been hauled off, according to him. Some of it's has been burned. No apparent effort has been made to remove the 2 mobile homes. And he attached pictures to the report as well, so.
I know this has been going on for a long time, and it's been on your project list, and you're wanting to get it handled. So I would defer to you and your guidance on what, because we've given the individual, you and the board previously have given this individual a lot of time trying to get in contact and whatnot.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I appreciate that because it's not, you know,
And right before we were going to tell Mr. Abbott to go do it, then he pops up, or the
right,
family member.
out of thin air.
Yeah.
After over a year. The problem of it is it's really an issue for the folks, our stakeholders that live out there.
Yeah.
You know, Brittany, she's seen this. I mean, she lives out that way. I've got other neighbors that reach out to me. I mean, it's an eyesore. You know, I'll say there looks like that there's been some effort, but it's been little effort at this point. I don't think it's satisfactory, not only to us, but the folks that live out in that area that have to see and drive by this every day. So I guess from my standpoint, I mean, I want to see these structures out of there and this property cleaned up, again, like within 30 days. Because I can't, you know, like I say, the folks that are out there that reach out to me, this has been ongoing for a few years. So it doesn't really matter what I tell them because there's
Sure.
been no teeth in anything
Yeah.
that we've told them through this process. So
Again, I think that the property owner has made it extremely difficult in this circumstance to go through the steps because of the way that the property is owned. Because there's no mailing address, because of the way they've paid their property taxes, it was impossible to locate them for a period of time.
very difficult, yeah.
Yes, this person did pop up. So in terms of what you want to see happen, do you want me to basically reach out to this person and say, you must make like, these are the things that you need to do in the next 30 days. If you do not have them done in the next 30 days, then on June 6th, we will be ordering Abbott to begin work on demolition and removal.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, all we're doing is cleaning the property up. We're not,
Mhm.
yeah, and so, we're gonna provide a service in 30 days.
Yeah.
Is what we're gonna do. That's,
And I did ask the person, I mean, he did mention like that he had reached out to, I think, a similar service to what Abbott was gonna do, and I asked him to provide me a PO box for him, for a mailing address, so I could send him official certified invites to our meetings
Sure.
to try and discuss what is going on. I've never received that. I asked for him to provide me copies of any of the like agreements or quotes or invoices that he had gone and tried to obtain himself from whatever group he intended to use, so that I could better understand, okay, he has taken the steps to reach out to somebody to begin the process of cleaning this up on his own. I have not received anything like that. I mean, again, I'm not saying that he did not send me an update for the things that Tim notated, but it's just not at all, I think, what the expectation was. So I can reach back out to him and give it a final, a last and final, this must be done by this date or we will begin efforts to demolish and remove.
I think makes it very clean and simple.
Yeah.
And,
Extended to one more olive branch.
yeah,
Yeah. Not that y'all haven't extended enough, but
yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, with that in my district, I had to reach back out and tell folks that inquire about it, we're going to extend another 30 days. I mean, it is ridiculous, I understand that, but I guess for anybody watching, I mean, it is a process, and it's not the easiest process by no means. We've been through this, through another property wasn't that long ago. And so we are working on it. We're trying to do the best we can, and we're using our legal advice to go through the process as well. So, but that's how I'd like to see this. It's another 30 days to get the structures out. You can't do it. Like I say, we'll provide that service and get those 2 structures out of there and get it cleaned up, and whatever else is laying out there, and be done.
And the two, they're not actual like physical, I mean, it's the 2
There are 2 mobile homes.
mobile homes. I mean, those can just be, I assume, like picked up and moved.
depending on the structure of the trailer, the apparatus or this chassis or whatnot. Yeah.
See Jonathan, how creative he wants to be with it. I know.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna change our agenda a little bit, if you guys are all right. Was it Brittany? You wanna get up here?
No, not really.
Oh,
Ours is the next thing on the list. I'm just here for the Henry Schein thing if Zach needs me for something.
Oh, okay. I
But-
appreciate
oh,
that.
okay. I thought you was here for
I
the,
have my invoices or whatever, if you need something from me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm sorry.
And I was wish Kaylin was here, but they're really, really busy. They haven't stopped all day.
Yeah.
Like, they
She
just
said they were
not stopped
somewhere.
running all day long.
Huh.
Stat fly and ambulances have been going by the health department all day long, so
Wow.
it's a crazy day.
Is it like full moon tonight or something?
Maybe.
I don't know.
well, I seen it, yeah, I seen them all flying, east, here on 56.
What? What's going on with invoices? Or are we holding out?
Okay, so, I was updated about some unpaid invoices for, and I'm just gonna call it the Henry Schein account. I don't know if that's right or not.
That's how I say it.
Okay. This is an account that I think is managed by the health department out of your all's fund, but EMS uses Henry Schein as a vendor, I guess.
So Henry Schein, the account is under the health department.
Yeah,
So we order the iStack cartridges for them because we can get a much better price. And then I give them the invoice, they turn in the claim to get it paid.
okay, but
So that's-
it gets paid out of
Their funds.
their fund, okay,
Correct.
all right.
Yes.
But it's your account,
Yes.
that's what I was messing up, okay. My understanding is that at this point, we are more than 30 days past due on a bunch of payments, and Henry Schein has frozen the account.
They haven't frozen it yet, but they've threatened to
Freeze it.
for a couple months, so. The
And why
last
are
time I ordered something, they still sent it, so we were okay. But
Okay,
Then why are we behind?
I wish Kaylin was here to explain that part. I think, wasn't there an issue with
Oh.
Mandy sent a payment,
I
but
do
it
have,
was the
yeah,
wrong?
so there was I think a payment sent by, I don't know if it had the payment had like the wrong account
Invoice number.
or invoice number on
Yes.
there. So Henry Schein applied it
Somewhere.
somewhere, I don't think it was not applied to the county, but it was just not correctly applied to the balance owed. And I think Mandy had said that she was going to get on fixing that. I asked for this to be on the agenda just because I just want to make sure that, one, most importantly, we don't get the account frozen.
Right.
Two, that we clarify with Henry Schein either that that payment was made and needs to be properly applied by Henry Schein to the correct account number, or if not, then we need to pay the account balance, and Henry Schein needs to credit us in the future for the amounts that were misapplied. Again, not by Henry Schein's own fault, so to speak, but they have been made aware that it is our money, should have been applied to our balance on our account, and something needs to get done about that pretty quickly.
Okay.
So I would just ask you guys to authorize me to speak with Henry Schein if necessary about the balance owed and about how to correct that
Yeah.
situation.
I'll make a motion for you to advocate on our behalf.
Yep, I'll second.
All right, and I'll make that unanimous, and thank you, Zach. Okay, next item on the agenda is the awning guy estimates for the jail.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Sorry, I didn't need you to be here.
Okay. I just wanna make
I
sure.
appreciate you doing that,
No
though.
problem.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We ready, next item?
Yeah, I've already,
Okay, so, I actually, reached out to get, some estimates for new awnings. As everyone may know, over our, corrections and, 911 awnings have, looked like they've been in the Wizard of Oz movie. They've pretty much had the lick. So I reached out to the awning guy to provide us an estimate to get those replaced, and we have those tonight. I mean, we don't necessarily have to act on these tonight, but I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. And what we have, one awning, $4,788.21, and then
this for corrections. No,
That one would, I guess, be for 911. This one for corrections, for 2 awnings, and what they done was, because in the past, there was an awning over facing the east side of the building. Again, we don't have to replace that awning.
I thought this was the jail we
No,
was talking about tonight.
no, but I think the jail is,
Also,
from what I heard, they're getting estimates as well. But for 2 awnings over there, it was $9,144.69 for 2. I don't know. I mean, looking at it, I don't know if we actually need an awning on the side of the building. But we do have one for, this one is for both at corrections, and this one is for 911.
okay.
Then where would we pay that out of?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. I know we would have to help with our council to help them understand where things come. I don't know if they could find it, so I don't know. We would have to come up, I guess, and try to help guide them on where to take the funds from. But these certainly need replaced.
We should have the money in the maintenance, building maintenance, right?
I think there's 5,000 in their line,
In their line for building maintenance.
Mhm.
That gets us one awning. So
And then there's other money in Eric's.
There's some in Eric's, but we're hitting that one pretty hard.
Where we at on his, you know?
No, I'm not really sure, because I think we've got a couple of heat pumps that are iffy, and I don't think there was anything put in that line. And I don't know why I'm thinking nothing.
I thought he had $60,000 in there at the beginning of the
And
year.
that was in his maintenance line, but not in the heat pumps. So I think the heat pumps will have to come out of his maintenance line. I don't remember if it's 30 or 50 in there, last I looked.
you got your money, Ken?
Yeah. What do you got out there, Tim? Come
What
on.
it says.
Did you sell something?
So I'm not so sure that we actually need an awning, on the east side of that building. Years ago, they used to do a lot with corrections when they would go out and obviously do community work. I'm more under the impression that we should just work on the front of the building and improve the aesthetics. Because the way I look at this too is we've had some businesses come in, they do a good job of putting, nice awnings up and things looking good. And we've got 2 that's in dire repair of replacement. And I think we've certainly got to do our part in trying to keep our facilities looking as good as possible.
Is that new framework, or is that the new framework and everything, or is that just?
Right,
It's
yeah,
different,
it's
framework included.
it's the removal, and then the aluminum framing, to go back up.
You could leave the transfer station for a few days and go up there and work on it.
I just wondered, is the framework bad?
It's been.
No,
rolled
the
around
framework is still there, but it's
I didn't know
Yeah.
there's companies that just took it down
It-
to reupholster them.
it's old and it's galvanized. I mean,
I'll say this too,
May not be an avenue you want to do.
I'm no awning person, but if there's if they was to go back even with a different style maybe or something, how does that change? I don't know. I don't know anything about it other than reaching out to these folks.
I'd say the frame's actually in good shape, but it would need to be refastened to the building. Because it's,
And then they would have to build material to fit around the existing frame.
yes, and you
And
have
it'd
to
have to
have,
be,
new
what if they didn't have
cloth.
like template anymore? Or if they were the original ones to put it in anyway, so. I know
These
correction.
people, actually, this fella was the original guy, so.
Yeah, okay. But no, corrections has been throwing hints around the awning and whatnot, so I know Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, it should have been replaced, you know, a few years ago, no question. I mean,
Uh,
it's outlived its.
So do we want to get another estimate with just,
Trying to just work with the frames and,
yeah, maybe work with the frames or at least get it redone to where we're not looking at the one on the side?
yeah.
Because it's
I
not
mean,
broke down that way.
Yeah, I can certainly reach back out to them and ask them to take a look at, you know, keeping the frames. If that's an option, you know.
Yeah.
If that's an option, then,
I looked at it a while back ago because I was gonna talk to you guys about taking metal and attaching metal to the frames that are there now. But I'm out of time to do it physically myself.
yeah, and metal would be great. I just also look at it like if that was to come loose, you know, in a storm and conk somebody over the head. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's a safety element maybe there too as well. But I think I can certainly reach back out and ask him to maybe take a look at these. You know, what's our price with just 2 total awnings and using the hardware that we have. Let's see what he says.
Okay. All right. FEMA application.
Jennifer, I sent you an email with that. It's the local, it's the declaration, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
And I apologize, I did not have time to make some of the corrections that I wanted to make on the declaration. I just sent the updated copy, so that's my fault.
So there's not gonna be any issue with retroacting it back to the 28th deadline? Or would,
There was a deadline for the 28th?
the last time EMA was in here, last meeting, they discussed that we had until April 28th to submit all damages or reports of issues of concern.
Well, I mean,
And so I don't know. I haven't,
I can't answer, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
because I've wrote down documentation and stuff and like timestamped an email, like sent it to myself, notes and stuff, so that way you have it. And that it was proof that it was submitted or documentation beforehand.
yeah.
But maybe we can get something like that.
Bless you.
Yep.
Did you already see it?
Yes, I wrote it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was talking to Adam.
Not that I wrote it, I made some
Yeah.
corrections to it.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second
All right, now make that unanimous.
on the emergency declaration. Is that,
Floodplain administrator.
I don't know, Randy, if you were, well, and Doug, you would have been here too, because I was back, I think in 23, we got a letter from, DNR asking us to designate a area floodplain administrator. Marty Randall at that point kind of made a point, said it should have been Ben. I don't think Ben was really interested in it. And then it came back again last year. They sent us a reminder letter. And I think poor old Kevin was tagged with that one.
I
And I think he said it would involve more dollars. I'm wondering, which Kevin kind of gets his name put on a lot of projects here.
Yep.
So I think that, and there was no more money appropriated to Kevin for the jobs he's already done that are extra.
Okay.
So that sort of died. I've got a person that needs paper signed by our area plan. When you look at the DNR, it shows Ben, but Ben's not had the training for this. I think we have until next month to get somebody on board. I made a call this week, but they have not, I don't believe they've called me back unless they called today, but there were no messages clipped.
Well, I mean, I guess it's our job to decide who we're gonna put there, right? But it's the council's job to decide to fund it. So we can sit there and keep going back and forth like we have for the last 3 years. Or, but I can tell you I sure the heck am not gonna make Kevin do the job, because Kevin is already doing way above and beyond what he should be doing. And matter of fact, I'll be honest with everybody, I'm gonna stop asking Kevin to do anything for us except for his job. And I mean that.
I can tell you, that's a big action. I think in other counties, the surveyor, the county surveyor is also the floodplain administrator.
That would make sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it has to be, that only makes sense, right? They only put somebody.
And that's the conversation.
I guess the only tricky part of that,
Right.
I guess the only tricky part of that is whether or not Mark wants to do it, because
Yeah.
Mark is an elected official.
Yeah. I'm gonna say probably not.
Yeah. And I want everybody to know that Kevin has not in no way ever complained
No.
to me, and that is not what's stemming this conversation. What's stemming this conversation is the fact that what's right is what's right and what's wrong, you know. It's just, if nobody wants to pay or agree that Kevin needs the extra money to do above and beyond what he does, then we can just go ahead and just get contractors to fix everything. We'll try it that way and see how much may that cost us. So
So I just want, I think we have to appoint a floodplain administrator.
okay,
I mean,
right. I just not Kevin. It's like,
yeah, I have no, Kevin.
that's my
I
opinion.
appreciate that you do a lot that you do, and you're entitled to be compensated for each and every part of the job that you do. I believe that you need to take some kind of action. We have a deadline.
I believe it's next month. I believe it's June of 25. Like I
We have a
said,
deadline.
have not heard back, but I also
it-
think this requires certification.
Yeah, they have to go through a separate training. And I believe the deadline is not to appoint. The deadline is to appoint a certified trained person. So, again, this has been like battled back and forth, and I'm not saying that. I think the commissioners have taken I think that was the suggested route with Kevin during the last budget cycle, and my understanding is that was council did not appropriate
There's
funds.
something extra appropriated.
Yeah, so
I mean, I'll say, just, I didn't say, it's not why I'm here, that for that was never brought up or laid on the table or talked about between me and the council. It may have been in a separate room or a separate meeting or whatever, but that was never asked upon me, never talked about or anything like that. So I don't wanna be like, oh, the council didn't do that.
That's right, he did not. There was-
No, no, I know
Conversation
that, yeah.
between me and them,
No,
in fairness.
Was it put in the budget, or was it? What
It
did
wasn't
you,
put
in
in
your
my
request?
budget because it never was assigned to me, so it wasn't.
let me
$1.
let me back up. Let me back up. I was referring to the fact that you have been working on installing, doing other things
I get it.
for
No,
the
I was just
county,
saying,
and that's what I'm
I
talking
wasn't
about.
denying anything that I asked
No,
for. It wasn't, I didn't go in and be like, I want this.
But-
That wasn't the case.
but we did ask to combine your job with
It-
taking over,
yeah.
and that was
Something
never,
above me would maybe.
that was never,
I get that.
yeah.
There was a letter presented, yeah, I do want to clear that up. There was a letter presented from the commissioners to the council at budget time for that.
Yeah.
So,
But whatever. I think that
What is
the next person in the county that is on the roads equally as much as probably Kevin is, would be Ben. I mean, to me, it makes sense to put somebody who is already on the road quite often
And has a county vehicle.
and has a county vehicle.
I do one.
and I don't know how, I don't know, cause I didn't put him on there, but he, like, if you look it up, it shows him. I don't know if they did that simply by his job title, somebody looked at it, but it didn't come from my office. So,
I think that I would.
I mean, I would hope that Ben could step up and help us out with this, and I think that's a good recommendation. So.
okay.
You got any recommendation?
Nope.
All right. I'll second that.
And just so everybody understands, I expect that Ben is not gonna take this role on, go through the trainings that's required and the work that he will need to perform unless he is compensated in addition to whatever he is currently compensated with, okay? So the other thing that I would ask is that we send something to the county council saying this is who we need to, this is who the commissioners have voted to appoint to this position. We would like the council to, considering the responsibilities associated with this position, consider an additional appropriation sufficient to compensate that person for the position held.
Do we currently have any description, workflow, process certification, any cost associated with other counties who are currently in that position?
I do not, I can reach out and try to find that.
Okay, because we would definitely need to start there to even begin talks with the council.
If you were to be compensated for it, would you be interested in the job?
Yes, Ben. I'm gonna, just so you guys know, I'm not 100% sure what that job entails, but I know Greg knows DNR permitting, and I actually wrote the County 1 DNR permit within the Bogarts Road project. It's 130-something pages long, so you better be fairly computer literate and
It
up
is
to the
time
challenge.
consuming.
And I don't know everything that job requires. I'm just saying, I do know
I don't know
the
anything about it either,
basics
yeah.
of what floodplain and the paperwork that it requires to
And they're very
Compliant.
particular, yeah.
the very particular.
Yeah.
And I was
So-
gonna make the suggestion, like, hey, when do we have to have it appointed?
30 days.
Within 30 days.
I don't know. I'm thinking it's that June 2025 deadline.
Okay.
From what I'm finding my old notes, but I haven't found anything. Like I said, I tried to call and I have not gotten a call back from them.
Okay, because my suggestion would be figure out what the description, what everything entails, the price, whatnot, and then seek out those individuals that are already on the road doing things, who might be interested, who is savvy enough computer-wise to do it, and then go from there. But that's my suggestion. I don't want to throw someone willy-nilly into it and them get in over our heads and not be able to complete it.
Do you have interest if we can get the funding for that?
Yeah, with the funding, because it adds, I mean, there's things that has to be done by deadlines, and that adds hours. I mean, if it needs to be done, it needs to be done.
So and Ben did say he was not
I
interested.
don't believe Ben is, because I think he's a little
So
worried about the, process to get there, I
then
think.
the question,
can see
I
that.
guess, move to the council to
Okay.
give Kevin a pay increase for,
Let me, yeah,
The floodplain. It's a vision water that you, so,
Which, that could spiral into, you know, US Fish and Wildlife, to DNR, to INM, but you know how that bureaucracy works.
I do, yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, I'm open for the conversation. Obviously, that's my wife here, but that's, you just reach out. I mean, I'd like to see a job description. I'd like to see what, you know, it entails. I can't sit there and say, oh, I like to have this dollar. I need
Yeah.
to see how.
Or how much time it's gonna take of your
Yeah,
day
Well-
and all that, you know.
I see the job.
and I think we're gonna have, we would have to add it to your duties. That being part of your job, so that they can just increase your pay because they can't pay you 2 times, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They can't pay him twice, but they can
pay
give
him a
him a
different
pay
fund,
increase.
yeah.
When is the council meeting, June? I'm sorry.
Huh?
So let's go down that
I
path.
think it's June 10th. No, it's June 10th.
Okay.
So what we need to find out is from the council, if they are willing to give Kevin a pay increase on his current job.
And
If so, we can add this to his job description.
I think we need to find out what it's gonna entail to get you there, what it. and
Oh, no,
I can reach out
absolutely.
to other
We gotta do
counties
that.
and see if they have a full-time person, if they use if they contract with somebody, how they do that, how the pay scale is,
Well,
what they do.
yeah, absolutely, we need to
And
do
then-
that, but I
And
wanna
then-
find out from the council
Right.
right off the get-go. Are they gonna compensate
Right,
if they're gonna do this or not? Because if they're not, then we're gonna have to hire somebody.
that's what I think, we're either gonna have to hire
Or
someone, or
Do the same
possibly
thing
eat
to
a
Ben.
fund.
Either way, I mean,
Okay.
it's tough. I don't know.
But we've kinda let this one get away. gone
Well,
down the road.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that aggravates me and why I'm acting aggravated, I guess, is because we have the potential, we can absorb it, it's not an issue.
Just doing that.
We just gotta give up a little bit more money to, we can't put 6 jobs on one person
Right.
and not give any pay increase. Okay, anyway, so let's go to courtyard use permit.
Okay. This
Chris
one's from-
Wakeman,
yeah.
Fiddler's Contest.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the permit.
It's not
Are you gonna be
conflicting
the-
on the calendar with anybody else? I don't think so.
No, it's
Okay.
not.
I'll second to
Just
approve.
right, check that out.
All right, I'll make that unanimous.
Do you know how to play the fiddle?
Fiddle?
Yeah.
I can fiddle with it.
Fiddle
I
with
can,
the
I
fiddle?
can, I can turn, I can turn little keys and pluck at it. Nothing anybody really wanna hear.
So you won't be participating?
I will not be participating. You?
Nope.
I play there for,
I know there's some good ones around here.
I can play Bill Went Down to Georgia on my phone. All right, cemetery board update.
I really was hoping Zach would be here for this one because, this one, we did sign an ordinance for it last year, or a resolution, I forget which it was. But we haven't done any more to organize it, and I know
Okay.
we're getting more questions about it, so we need to.
We'll hold off until he gets
Yeah.
back. So move on to the transfer station update. All right. What do y'all want to know?
Just what's going on. I know the highway department guys have been out there working hard. KLB's out there working. Where are we at funding wise? What's the project? Like when the scale's gonna be here? Because a lot of people are calling asking like, hey, when's it gonna be done? Stuff like that. So, and just how much have we spent?
Did you get the form I emailed you?
I don't believe so.
I think it was last night. If not, I can get you a paper copy.
Oh, it was buried in all the attachments.
All right, so reading, do you have it pulled up, Adam?
I just see the Excel documentation,
Yes.
and I see, well, maybe I need to go to the bottom, see if there's tabs. Oh yeah, there we go. Timber fund general, yeah. It's kind of hard for me to do it on the phone here,
Okay.
but yeah.
You'll see one that says total with compactor. Compactor is not involved in this. There are some, so the compactor we bought with ARPA funds. So that 684 is not in the equation.
Yeah, that's 60,000, and it shows at the top that it came out of the ARPA
Yeah.
funding instead.
Um,
And then when you look.
But the problem that with some of these issues, and it's not Jennifer's issue, it's not, when we purchased the compactor, what we didn't do was we didn't provide money from ARPA to wire it up or any of the installation
Okay.
of it. And there's a reason why that wasn't done. The reason why that wasn't done was because that was an open target. And with grant money, you can't leave it open.
Yeah.
You can't say, I'm gonna put around 20,000 and then turn around and you're only using 3,000 or 6,000, whatever. It doesn't work that way. So the $95,000 that we used for, that we used out of our 3 funds that we put together, installation for that compactor has been put on that.
Okay.
And
So that's
that's
why.
what-
But we didn't have a choice.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
So that puts us up to what, 100 and,
No. What we have left out of the original $95,000 is about $54,000, and I'm doing that math right off the top of my head here by looking at this.
And if you do look at it on the back of the front page there, at the bottom of the invoices, you got 2 lines that we need an additional appropriation for, and that is for work that was done with the compactor, I think wiring and something else there, I can't even remember. what
Yeah,
it was.
but still
There's
hasn't-
2 lines
That still hasn't came through yet.
that has not been paid because
Yeah.
there's not, that will need additional to do that. When you go to the tab that's general fund, nothing for the scales was budgeted out of the general fund. That general fund was what was already budgeted in the 2025 budget for the transfer station repairs.
okay.
And we're like, I don't know, 142.52, somewhere along there, dollars left in that account.
Got it. Okay, I'm tracking.
What else are we gonna do? There is, so we have paid 17%, I'm sorry. We paid $17,000, which is 30%.
Yes, yes.
It's on here somewhere. I'm not seeing it. But I know it's
It's
on
in
here,
the
I've
top.
already seen it.
It's like the top quarter of the invoices on the front page.
And that is 30, anyway, that's 30% of the scale has been paid for so far.
Okay.
Also, what's gonna have to, that's not on here, but we're gonna have to come up with $10,000 more at some point for the dumpster covers.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
get it. We have
something
that.
that was never, ever in the scale project. But became a scale project when somebody decided to make that phone call
Yeah.
and talk to the inspector of IDM. So $10,000 more is gonna have to come out. So what we're gonna have to do, but I told everybody in the council during the time that we talked about this $95,000, that additional money was gonna have to be provided to get this in. I can bring it up on video. Me and John Lisby talked at great length about it during the meeting. Where we'll get the money from that is we have to do a transfer of funds from what we use, what the council has already appropriated for paying to get rid of the trash. The haul bill that goes to Ecotech. The line just says Ecotech. But once the scales are in place, we are no longer going to be pulling from that fund anyways. So it's just a line transfer. It's not additional appropriations.
Gotcha. And then with the highway department guys out there working and whatnot, how are y'all getting compensated for it?
Just our advertising.
They just get
I mean, we're
it.
not being on overtime, what you're saying.
Okay. I just want to make sure y'all were taking care of it too.
Yeah.
Then I'm good. And I wanted to make sure, I had a few phone calls about it, so I just want to make sure it was in the meeting where everyone could hear it and talk about it.
All right. So that's where we're at. I'm guessing at this point, because I don't have a solid number back from the contractor yet on the cost of the concrete foundation. So again, this is a guess. Around $30,000 to $40,000 more will have to be taken out of, or would be need to be transferred.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Jen, what do you get
From the Ecotech line.
From the Ecotech line.
So these are not the same.
for- Yeah.
You can
Where
talk
is
about
it?
the, I'm sorry, so ask them.
So
again.
now we're going,
Brandy was just talking about.
sorry, did you get one of these?
No, I did not. I can pull it up on my computer when I get home.
I was gonna say,
I've got extras in there for you.
somebody wants to email, did
I've
you
got it.
email all of
I
those?
think
I got most of that in my head.
I can print
If
it
not
off
all,
too.
I've got
You want to
extras
look
in there. to print.
Take it.
All the
Just take
invoices
it.
for the transfer station.
It's just straight transfer station budget, what we've used on our project out there putting scales in. So now that Zach is back, we're gonna circle back around. Does anybody have any other questions on it?
I'm not, I
I-
appreciate this being provided though.
Yeah. We're gonna circle back around to cemetery board update.
And Zach, my question on that was, we did do an ordinance or a resolution, I can't remember, at the end of last year about that, but we haven't really done anything to reorganize the board, and I'm not sure what our next step needs to be on that. But I get some calls on that one.
So we did do the ordinance
I
that,
believe,
see, I don't know that we did. I think that I drafted one.
I'm sorry.
So if we confirmed who the current, well, who the 5 members of the board were.
I believe I can get those names. I don't have them.
I thought
I think we had-
we nailed that down because I think we,
Because I think a couple of them have passed.
That's
But on the
my
original.
recollections.
I think
The
two.
board is,
At
has
least
some
two.
vacant positions.
It does.
Yeah. Again, in this scenario, I think that what needs to happen is that we probably need to do a separate resolution. Approving either, setting new terms for the individuals that are on there and would like to stay, and then appointing individuals to fill any vacancies with their terms to expire consistent with this ordinance. I don't know who the 5 members are.
the only thing I was thinking was Joe and John.
Mhm.
I don't know.
The other thing you could do, if you wanted to, I think at this point, is just reorganize the board entirely and just appoint 5 members.
Well, I think we could reach out to maybe 1 or 2 that's still on there, but
Yeah.
I don't know that we have
Yeah.
enough for all of them. So,
Yeah.
do you want me to try to reach out to them and then have something maybe for the next meeting? or-
I think that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, I think we need to have, and what I would suggest for each of the board members is basically just, my recollection is that a vacancy occurred because of, one of the board members passed away. I think at this point, 2 of them have passed away, so you might need to individually go look for your proposed, at a minimum, 2 people that want to serve on the cemetery board. It's,
Yeah.
For the people at home
yeah.
that may be interested, what all does that include?
So the cemetery board does, it's actually not a lot of responsibility from my recollection, aside from some oversight of we have 1 county worker. I don't know if he's part-time, full-time.
Full-time. I think.
He's seasonal.
No, seasonal, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That we got the money.
And then there are some annual reports that they do and prepare, and they're supposed to be coming to the commissioners to give those reports.
Okay.
So it's not a huge time dedication, but it is something that does require.
Yeah, I mean, I
Physical
think it's
person.
worthwhile to reach out to a couple people that's still on there to see if they want to be, because I mean, there's so many cemeteries out there, you need somebody with some knowledge of where these assets are.
Somebody
Yeah,
said there's
exactly.
like
I
40,
mean,
and I
there's-
don't
Because you won't see them from the road. It ain't like you,
Right,
No.
yeah.
you don't see them from the road.
That's right.
They're-
Cemeteries wide state. Are these county-owned cemeteries? I don't need to answer this right now, but this is a big topic in my office here lately. Are these cemeteries that we're taking care of or mowing, are they county-owned cemeteries?
I don't believe so. Not all.
Most of them are private.
So, does the county have a budget to maintain? So I guess what I'm getting at, some of the cemeteries like out on Bogart's Road around Dotyville, but like they're getting, the drives are washed out, they're starting to get in bad shape. And Denver was asking me, they said, hey, are we gonna take care of these?
I think what we run into, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what we run into is the issue that the cemeteries are on private property and we can't spend rock money to pave across somebody, because the state board of accounts, that would be the same as us putting in a driveway or putting in a court. Isn't that correct? Ain't that what me and you talked about before?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to look for the cemetery statute. Can I see the ordinance?
No.
I'll just get right to it.
Cemetery have a budget for
They
them.
do.
They do.
But it's very.
Minimal.
Everybody's doing it,
Yeah,
right?
It's just for
like
fuel.
everybody else's.
I mean,
Yeah, fuel and mower, and that pretty well wiped it out.
That well, actually, you had to take part of that out of your venture funds.
That's
There
right.
wasn't even
Yeah.
enough to pay for all that. But I'm not so sure if we get the board going, because I know there are some funds that come in from some of these cemeteries where if they open a grave, that we might be able to at least pay for a load of rock here and there. I don't know.
yeah, but I think, yeah, well, maybe that board can.
That's what I'm saying. I think the
But
cemetery
Kevin
board- No, exactly.
So, I mean, interestingly, the county cemetery commission may request a levy of an annual tax for the purposes of restoring and maintaining one or more cemeteries described in section 1 of this chapter that are located in the county. The tax may not exceed 50 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation of property in the county. And then when they do that, they're supposed to annually account for that with the, I think it's the Indiana Historical Preservation Society, and then
No,
they're
it's-
also supposed to come to us.
I was thinking just going to John Lisby, he would know where everything is. The historian side.
Yeah.
And that's like with Joe Gibson that was on there too. I mean, Joe knows.
Yeah.
Just amazing, yeah.
We have a list of them in the office. I can give you a copy. Do you have a list?
No, I don't, but I'd love to have it,
I forget
yeah.
off the top of my head, but it's a lot. A lot.
I thought somebody told me 42 to 46.
Yeah,
Does
it's
that
what-
sound
it's a
about
couple
right?
pieces, I haven't went through them all.
Okay.
There's a couple pieces of paper on
Yeah.
that.
Bill.
So,
last night-
and the way it works is, under IC 23-14-78-4, the county has assumed certain responsibilities related to maintenance via certain agreements with the actual property owners. But again, some of these properties are so old that I don't even necessarily know that those agreements can be located really, but the county had assumed and created a list of cemeteries that the county had established as cemeteries as defined in the statute, and had basically assumed the maintenance of the cemetery, even if we weren't assuming ownership of the property itself, if that makes sense.
You want to be
know
president of
about
the
it.
cemetery board?
You know about a cemetery off Wingate Road, across from like Jimmy Coons used to live
Yeah,
there.
back there.
Bill Lesnick was asking me about that.
Yeah, so am I over this.
That's, I figured, I told him, I said, well, Kevin may know.
I look, it's not county owned. I mean, the drive's not county owned.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, I did not know there was a cemetery back there.
yeah.
I do know now because it's closest to this, in the top of a lot of the cemeteries.
So that's not our drive back to there, right?
We can try to seek reimbursement from the property owners for the cost of maintenance of any private cemetery. But some of these, I think, have been deeded to like the Historical Land Society or the Indiana Historical, I'm not exactly sure.
I
Yes.
don't
And some of these people who's got the property going up to the cemetery don't even want us to cross it anymore. They don't want,
Yeah.
we've been running into that.
Yeah, some of them are landlocked,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's no access to them.
You
They
know,
won't
been
give
getting
you
calls
permission to go
from some people
around their property to get there.
wanting to get back there to see, the cemetery, or in one case,
I think
to bury
And-
one, and
in Denver's question, and it's pretty fair, is taking care of the gravel road, it's a good thought, the fair question is, gravel roads is like maintaining anything else, if you keep maintenance up.
They just have to report once a year to the county council and
If
the
you,
county commissioners.
go downhill.
That
about
annual
day,
report should be
then
the
it costs
same
a lot
type
of money
of
to get it
report that
back.
they prepare for.
That's what he brought up to me.
Historical preservation
I don't know,
society.
maybe-
And it's good to have it anyways, just-
I'll give a
It's
list,
just
send them to
to
you.
account for
appreciate
I mean, I
that.
don't know,
Use
you
Yeah,
can look at the
100%.
council and be like,
And
is there
then
any funding that,
The only
and it
other
may not be
description
US,
of powers that they have is,
that
aside
you
from
wanna
that,
set
we're
aside a year
taxing.
just
Yeah.
for cemeteries?
Yeah,
Is
that's
there
I
a
don't know whether
historical
that
grant?
change
Is there
going
anything like
Yeah.
that that they may? they may wanna do, just a thought. This
If
is
you don't
because,
ask me about it, that's what.
Well, I think that's what he's saying,
There's
you know,
supposed to be a
the
cemetery
people who own the
caretaker. That's
property
the one
going up to the
person who's
cemetery
The moment.
can offer to reimburse
Cool, easy enough.
the county for rock.
yeah.
Good luck, right?
Straightforward.
Right.
But we,
I'll be some.
as the county, can't.
Yeah.
I can reach out to SHPO and ask if there's like
Yeah, there's
anything
no-
up
there's
there.
something.
I can do that tomorrow. I'll let you know what I find out.
Well, we had something happen in the last couple of weeks that somebody came in with a check to open a grave, which usually they just mail us one. That's not something. And it was a higher amount than what we've taken in from other cemeteries. So do the cemeteries decide that? So that was kind of the difference. Is that something the cemetery board would maybe make mandatory? What that fee will be? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't,
Because
I don't,
you're that
I don't
board.
know if the, does the board fall underneath a county entity at all?
Yeah,
So-
they're appointed by the Scott County Board of
So
Commissioners.
then in that case, then the board couldn't necessarily pay to put rock on somebody else's property to get back to the cemetery either, right?
Wait, put rock on somebody else's property.
Well, like an easement to get back.
We're saying,
The easement going back is often somebody else's property on these cemeteries
Some of these are landlocked.
that,
Are we saying that there is an official easement that's been established?
Well, that's the
That's
thing.
my next
That's a
question.
good question.
that's the thing. It's,
I
no,
don't
not
think there
necessarily.
is.
is it a private pipe? Is it,
Yeah,
it's not a county road per se in a lot of these places, so.
I mean, there are things that, like easements by necessity and things exist, but usually they are in some official capacity, like recorded to run with the land.
Yeah.
So that all property owners and future property owners are on notice of easements like that. So I guess your question is,
Can we put rock down?
no, not on private,
what I
not
thought,
on
yeah.
private
That's-
land,
yeah.
no.
That's what we were saying. Okay.
I mean, unless.
Thanks for
that's-
concurring.
Even with an easement, I don't necessarily know that you would be able to.
Because that would be the.
Yeah, that
would
really
get-
doesn't, it's not really applicable to easement.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that we kind of got in with the culverts in people's driveways.
I know where you're going. I was just
So
going
we
to go ahead.
pay a county employee, seasonal county employee to mow it, with county equipment and their gas. But we ain't gonna take care of the road to it. I mean, I don't mind either way, I hate to see them, some of them are getting bad. And I know it's probably been done in the years past, I'm sure, like a long time ago, but I don't know. Anyway,
Where's our,
Well,
where's
I
our
think
responsibilities
if it is
begin
a-
and end?
I mean, again, so we're saying that the property owner who owns property that essentially landlocks the cemetery, right? Is the
Right.
property owner okay with us taking care of the roadway?
Sure, most of them. I mean, not always, believe it or not, but,
Okay.
Yeah, not always.
not always.
That what's
We
our
run into that just not too
responsibility
long
to
ago.
I
provide
mean, weirdly enough,
drainage
I-
and if nobody's taking care of it, then we.
Because of the incident that we had a while back.
Do you want time to step?
the
It was all
tree,
landlocked.
the tree,
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
the tree
well,
that, like,
there wasn't
fell?
no way to get the person back, I mean,
Yeah.
to the graveyard, because it was landlocked on one side, and then there was a path that was claimed to be county, but it was all private land. The other path to it, and then when I say path, it was a path, so.
okay, well,
I don't know, it's just something I deal with, I know that there ain't no great answer for it, but that was just a question, I seen the cemetery board on there, and I thought, well, maybe if we get a new cemetery board, maybe we can get
it
a,
might not be a bad idea to, authorize them to, investigate, and like Kevin has done with, some of our roads, kind of like, build a asset inventory.
Should have.
Asset inventory of what cemeteries are we responsible for caring for? What is the condition?
I mean, they run into
What do they
something.
need? how do we access these, and if not, you know, what are other
There's one
avenues?
position
But,
there.
I mean, right now, sitting here, like,
So I don't know. if they're
I can tell you this,
gonna-
I'm not gonna be driving out to the cemeteries to figure out which ones we own and don't own, so.
Is the
If I'm
cemetery
given some
or-
direction in terms
Yeah,
of,
cemetery.
whom I need to speak with, like which property owners,
They
I
don't
mean, maybe
now.
I can
mean,
figure out
I've
how
not seen
to
where they've ever paid me.
solidify some kind of agreement with them. But the other thing is, when you use, highway department equipment on private land,
I do now, so.
normally we're required to, bill the property owner for the work performed, and they're required to reimburse. We can't use our highway equipment to improve a private road. You know, and I understand that there are situations that have come up in the county in the past where, I think we have a series of subdivisions that over time, since I've been here, we've tried to accept into the county roadway system despite maybe some deficiencies that normally we would not accept because they don't meet certain criteria. But when those subdivisions were created, I don't think they had a road bond requirement, and the developer kind of maybe didn't finish the road and then left
Yeah.
kind of high and dry, and the road's just deteriorated over time.
Yeah, just never maintained it. I mean,
So, I think we've slowly over time taken in a couple of those roads. It might be a situation, right, where, I don't know, some of these people might say, sure, I'd love to do it, and maybe we can make it like a official, like, county access easement to just go over. But in terms of, I don't know, like dumping rock, I'm not totally positive that we can just do that.
Well, and
In
I
fact,
think-
I would say the opposite, we can't.
that's a great suggestion. I mean, I think that's the best way to go about it. When you get the board put together, then they'll kind of have a better idea of what cemeteries that are out there in some of these more remote areas that we don't really know a lot. Is there, how much capacity's out there? And, folks still
I mean-
utilizing those cemeteries. And,
I mean,
and then we could, adopt